sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
The long ball helped the Indians take round one in this 4-round fight against the Royals. One of them was hit by Michael Brantley, who's starting to draw a lot of attention now around Major League Baseball. Tonight will be a tougher task. Big game James Shields takes the hill for KC. Danny Salazar will look for his A game next on Sports Time Ohio. From Progressive Field in downtown Cleveland, it's game 2 of this 4-game series between the Cleveland Indians and the Kansas City Royals. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. The Indians paced last night by Michael Brantley, who has been consistently performing all season long, whether it be at the plate or in the field. Rick, you think about it, back in Chicago, the guy was heckling him from the seats, screaming his name, and he hit one out of the park. You can't get under this guy's skin.
Well, he's so easygoing and he's so consistent that he walks up there. He has simply been the best hitter and the best clutch hitter for the Indians this whole year. It doesn't matter whether he's facing a right-hander, a left-hander, whatever Michael does, he's in the middle of something when the Indians score. So if you get somebody on, he's second in the league in RBIs with 18, and you can see over his last 9 games showing surprising power this year, but he's just learning the game, learning the pitchers, and just getting better with every game he plays.
Terry Francona will be celebrating his 55th birthday tonight, and he has won 5 of the last 6 games that he has managed on his birthday. So hopefully that's a good sign for the Indians as they look to continue their mastery of Kansas City in this 4-game series. We're coming back with a play-by-play next. McDonald's, I'm loving it. By your local Toyota dealers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Buy Paninis. Get overstuffed at Panini's Bar and Grill. And buy Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And we welcome you into Progressive Field for tonight's ball game. Drastically different than when we greeted you last night. Our game time temperature was right around 70 degrees. It'll be 50 at game time here tonight. Overcast skies, a light breeze as the Indians try to keep it rolling, looking for their third straight win here tonight. It will be Danny Salazar on the hill for the Tribe tonight, and let's go downstairs and check in with the third member of our team. She's back.
Hello, Katie.
Hello, boys. You know, Danny Salazar has told Terry Francona before that he feels most comfortable when he's on the mound. Well, that's exactly what his manager needs to see from him today, along with bringing back that mindset of attacking every single hitter and being consistent from inning to inning. Now, Francona mentioned he can see Salazar going through that learning curve of being a regular starter in the bigs for the first time. But the key for him is coming out and throwing his best stuff from the first pitch to his last pitch.
Well, that's right, Katie. He tried to ease into it last start. We'll see if he comes out a little harder in his first start today.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup he will face from Ned Yost, Kansas City Royals, brought to you by Toyota. Nori Aoki will lead off for the KC Royals. Then it's OMAR Infante, followed by Eric Hosmer. Billy Butler bats cleanup. Alex Gordon fifth. Salvador Perez sixth. Mike Moustakas, Alcides Escobar, and Gerard Dyson.
Our GMC pitcher tonight is Danny Salazar. Salazar coming out, making his fourth start. He's not off to a very good start. In 14 innings, he's given up a lot of hits. He's given up 19 hits. He has walked 8, and he's given up a homer in every start. So he's going to try and settle in and just find a groove. And we'll see where he starts out at tonight. His first pitch of in his last start in Detroit was 88 miles per hour, and he hovered right around 88 to 91 for the first 3 innings until he had to ramp up, and that's when he lost control. So we'll see what happens tonight. Let's check the Kia defense behind Salazar. It looks like this. It'll be Brantley in left, Bourne in center, Murphy's in right. Santana back at third base. Cabrera is at short. Kipnis at second. Swisher is at first. Gomes behind the plate. 3 errors last night. A bad night defensively, and they are last in the league in fielding percentage.
Vic Carapazza will call the balls and strikes. Then it's Adam Hamari, Greg Gibson, and the crew chief Bill Miller on the bases. Danny Salazar. He faced these Kansas City Royals in September last year at Kauffman Stadium. In fact, he was up against the Royals flamethrower Ventura, Yordano Ventura, and it was a pretty good ball game. Danny Salazar prevailed as the Indians. Actually, Salazar took the loss in that game. But it was a good battle between those two. He starts tonight's game off with a fastball strike to Aoki, who was 0 for 4 last night. Upstairs.
Aoki, a guy who is really, for Kansas City this year, struggled on the road. Just 3 for 33. He's been dynamite at home in the 8 games that he's played there, and there's the splits.
2-1 to count. Aoki came to Kansas City from Milwaukee in the offseason in a trade for left-handed pitcher Will Smith. And Salazar misses again, down low, 3-1. Fastball out of play and a full count. Payoff pitch to Aoki, and it's ball 4. Keys to the game, courtesy of Akron Children's Hospital. clean it up on defense. Indians won despite 3 errors last night. And if you get an opportunity against James Shields, cash in.
Yes, indeed. Take advantage of it when you can. Here's Infante, a good fastball hitter. And he's a good number 2 hitter.
Infante was 2 for 4 last night in the ballgame.
So far on the year, opposition against Salazar after a 1-0 count, they're 9 for 17. That comes out to a .529 average. Couple of doubles, couple of homers.
Well, the walks have been an issue for Indians pitchers, especially the starters, and I know it's something that Mickey Callaway, the pitching coach, has talked to them at length about. Tribe staff has now walked 75. Only the Astros, the White Sox, Angels, and Blue Jays have walked more. Swing and a miss on a 2-0 count.
Well, the one thing he did in his last start, he started about 88 to 91, but he had a good feel. That first time he breezed through. He had, 33, 34 pitches in the first 3 innings of that start against the Tigers. And then when he got out of the stretch, he had to try and, reach back a little bit and give it a little bit more, and he got a little wild. He made a walk and then fell behind and gave up a 3-run homer.
Back out of play. Plus, you almost got the feeling that when the Indians scored in that game, he went out and tried to do too much. He maybe got caught up in the moment of, I got to go out and dominate now.
Well, he did that, but he was also going against somebody that he idolizes, with Verlander. And he got caught up into the hoopla and said, hey, just get outs. Because the start before that against Chicago, he was out before 4 innings because of his pitch count.
Paints the outside corner with a 95-mile-an-hour heater, and Infante is out number 1.
You talk about a perfect pitch. There you go. Live down there. That is unbelievable. They're not going to be able to hit that. That was an excellent fastball at the knees on the corner, and that's what he's capable of. Just don't try and overthrow. That one was perfect pitch.
Eric Hosmer steps in. 0 for 4 last night. But 3, if not all 4 at-bats he barreled the ball up. Fortunately for the Indians, he hit it at defenders, and they made the plays against him. But he's off to a pretty good start this year. 4 doubles, 5 runs batted in. Runner goes. Pitch hit in the air to left. Brantley moving over toward the line. And a routine out. And I'll tell you what, Aoki was around second base, so he had to retouch second and dash back to first. He had his head down moving on the pitch.
Well, and it goes to show you the ball had enough air underneath. That tells me that was a steal. That wasn't a hit and run because he didn't look back. Then he finally picked up the ball. On a hit and run, usually you look back in after you take 2 steps as a base runner so you can pick up and see if the guy hits the ball or not. He had his head down all the way, and he never picked up the baseball until he was around second base.
Now he's trying to catch his breath as Billy Butler steps in. Butler went 0 for 4 last night. That stopped the 5-game hitting streak for the Royals DH, who takes a strike. Butler has acknowledged his early season struggles offensively. He said, look, it's one thing when I struggle. He said, if Mike Moustakas is struggling, he can still go out defensively and make a play to help us win. He goes, if I don't hit, I don't help us.
The life of a DH. Yeah, when you're a DH, you have to hit. And in his career, he certainly has.
Yes, he has.
And there's no reason to think that he's not going to do it this year. He's just going through one of those slumps, and we talk about it all the time because it's the start of the season. Everything is magnified early.
And even for a player like Butler, who's been at it a while, he's no kid.
Because the team is struggling to score runs, and he's in the number 4 hole.
It can still get in your head, though, and play games with your confidence.
That's the big thing.
Got off to a slow start last year, though he did have 3 home runs and a dozen runs batted in.
Well, when it's all said and done, and we don't go to Kansas City for a while, do we? I bet you next time we see him, he's not going to be like this.
Well, you're right. We don't go to Kansas City till
It's
June.
late. I know it. It's late. So the next time we see him, we won't even be talking about it. We'll say, well, we remember how he started off. He won't be like that.
Swing and a miss. He tied him up with a really good fastball. Terrific location, and it's 1-2.
Up and in, and 93 on the gun. You know, I don't care about the speed as much as I care about the location. It's an excellent spot.
Tied him up pretty good.
Belled high. You couldn't get the hands out in front.
Good quick feet by Salazar as he tossed it over there, and Aoki just did get back in front of the tag by Swisher. Eight balls, 8 strikes so far for Salazar here in the first. 2 down and a 1-2 count on Butler. Runner goes. Fastball fouled right back. Butler went downstairs. Tried to dig that one out.
Yeah, he fouled off a good pitch. That was a good pitch. Certainly was. Aoki was off and running on the 1-2 count, trying to get himself in scoring position.
Got him looking. Locked him up with a heater. And Danny Salazar strikes out 2 here in the first inning. The Tribe is coming to bat. Bottom of the first here at Progressive Field. The Indians starting lineup brought to you by Progressive. Michael Bourne in the leadoff spot, followed by Nick Swisher. Then Jason Kipnis will bat third. He's on a tear. Last 8 games, 8 hits, including a half dozen scored. Carlos Santana back in the cleanup spot tonight. Michael Brantley fifth. As Drupal Cabrera, David Murphy, Yan Gomes, and Lonnie Chisenhall rounded out.
32-year-old James Shields on the mound for the Royals. He is 1-2 this year with an ERA right at 2. He's given up 12 runs, only 6 of them earned. But in his last start at Houston, he tossed a gem, 8 innings, just 4 hits, had 12 punch-outs. One time he had 7 in a row, and he can get on a roll. He's got excellent stuff. 3-5 in his career against the Indians. He was 2-0 last year.
And his first pitch of the night is a fastball down low to Michael Bourne, who was 1 for 4 last night. Fastball upstairs, Bourne fouling it back to even the count. Called a strike, just did paint the inside corner with that pitch. And that goes right back up the middle. On a 1-2 pitch, Michael Bourne lines it into center field. And the leadoff man aboard for the Tribe to start the game.
Boy, he took it right back up the middle. It looked like a changeup. And Shields will throw, that was upstairs, that's why. He will throw like 2 different kinds of changeups, different velocities. One can be a little harder than the other one. I think that's a slow one right there, and it comes right back where it came from. Up the middle, base hit for Bourne.
So Bourne is aboard, already with a couple of steals on the year. And Nick Swisher stands in. Swisher coming off a game in which he doubled twice to left center field.
Shields, a guy very deliberate when he goes into that stretch. He gets a good look at the runner. He is quick to first base. And relatively, he'll give his catcher a good opportunity to throw. He's anywhere between 1-1 and 1-2, delivering the baseball on his slide step.
Royals with 3 on the right side of the infield. This is one of those shifts that literally, if Swisher could lay down a bunt up the third baseline, he'd have an easy hit. Because there was nobody over on the left side. Escobar shading him up the middle. He checked. Close pitch, but a little bit outside. 2-1. And it's fouled back to even the count of 2-2. Whenever a hitter is struggling, it's always important to have some kind of a baseline to go back to. And Rick, it just seemed like for Swisher, when he was in a funk, he took some extra batting practice and he went back to saying, I'm going to stay inside the ball. And had some really good swings last night, and hopefully that gets him going again.
Well, stay inside the ball, but the 2 doubles came to left center field with authority. One off the wall.
He wasn't just fighting them off,
no,
right?
I mean, he has a tendency, like all hitters do, and like most hitters, they get a little long and they get a little pull happy. But when he can stay in there, when you take the doubles to left center field or the base hits the other way, that forces people to pitch you inside, and maybe you'll get some pitches you can turn on. And it looks like they're trying to crowd him.
Bourne holds it first, and Swisher is rung up to end the at-bat. He doesn't like the call by the home plate umpire. Lets him know about it. And that's out number 1 here in the first. We'll take another look.
Let's see if this ball has any comeback to it. Well, it's down there. It's close, but when you're the hitter, let's see if it goes by the knees. Boy, that's close. It could go either way, but it didn't go his way. It didn't go Swisher's way. It went Shields' way.
So 1 on, 1 out for Jason Kipnis. He had a big night in the series opener. 2 for 4 with a double and a home run. And Shields in with a fastball to get ahead. Kipnis in his last 8 games, 8 hits and 26 at-bats. with those 6 runs scored.
He's starting to come around.
Our great clip of the game from last night. Hanging breaking ball, and he smoked it. And that helped the Indians prevail 4-3 over Kansas City. Right back. That's been a true line of demarcation for Kansas City this year. When they score 4 or more, they're 9-0. When they don't, they're 0-9. The Indians held them to 3 last night and got the win.
It was amazing they held them to 3 with the 3 errors. But the Indians hit the 2 long balls. Kansas City hit some doubles. They didn't hit the long ball.
McAllister gave them a very good, solid start, and the bullpen was shut down City. And John Axford with a 1-2-3 ninth to put it in the bank. 1-2 count for Kipnis. As Shields threw one in the dirt. Nice. I think it was in the dirt. Hosmer.
Sounded like it hit the dirt.
Sounded like Hosmer picked it. He sure did.
Yep.
Shields has an inkling that Michael Bourne might be taking off here. 1-2 pitch. Sometimes a good pitch to run on, figuring you're going to get an off-speed pitch. He holds. It's up high. And it was a fastball, 2-2.
Well, that's another thing you could do. You never want to pitch out on a count like that when you're ahead, because you can just throw a high fastball if you want. And it could be the same thing as a pitch out. But you could also get the hitter to swing.
Little bit outside and a full count.
Well, he'll be running now, full count, with Kipnis at the plate.
Bourne inches off the bag. He takes off, and a 3-2 pitch is fouled away. Bourne retreats. One out here in the first. Bourne again looks like he'll be off, and he is. And again, it's fouled by Kipnis. You know, so many players, especially early in the season, you get off the slow start. You wonder, do they press? Do they start looking up at that scoreboard? Jason Giambi told me something before the game tonight I thought was just great advice that he tells all the young players, including Kipnis. He said, you know what? All that scoreboard information tells you is what you've done in the past. And all that matters is what you're doing right now. Kipnis socks one high in the air, pretty deep to center. Wynn's going to knock it down, though, and Dyson will make the catch for out number 2. And Bourne retreats to first. You would think more players would kind of figure that out and take that same approach, but so many players get swallowed up by those numbers on the scoreboard. Oh, my goodness. Carlos Santana, for example. I'm only hitting 145, but
it's hard not to, because it's everywhere you look. It's on the sideboard. It's on the scoreboard, and you hear people yelling at you. It's just one of those things. It's just a natural reaction to try and do more than you're capable of doing. You want to get 3 hits in one swing.
Santana tries to bunt it, but he doesn't get it by the mound, and an easy play for Shields.
Now that's scuffling.
So the Indians get a leadoff single, can't do anything with it, and we're scoreless after 1. By your Northeast Ohio Honda dealers. By the Cleveland Clinic. Call today for an appointment today. And by the Northeast Ohio Ford dealers. Second inning. Blankets are a welcome addition to the fans here.
Yes,
tonight.
Nothing wrong with that. That's doing your homework right there.
A little chilly. Not too bad, though.
No, not yet.
50 degrees at game time. Alex Gordon leading off. He is a .294 hitter on the year so far, as you see there. He was 2 for 4 with the double last night. And Salazar misses inside, 1-1 to count. Out of play. 1-2 now for Alex Gordon. Three-man shift for the Indians on the right side of the infield. Gordon fouling it back. It stays 1-2. See the defensive alignment with Carlos Santana staying on the left side of the infield.
He hit a ball right on the line last night for a double.
Swung on and missed. Salazar with a nice change of pace to get him. His third strikeout already tonight. One down here in the second. Time now for our Hear Right Audiology sounds of the game. And Terry Francona, the Tribe skipper, celebrating his birthday, and some of his players wanted to wish him well.
I just want to wish him a happy birthday. He doesn't look a day over 80, so it's nice to have him here with for his birthday. We might have some cupcakes after the game, maybe.
Just want to throw a little happy birthday out there to Tito. You know, happy 75th. I mean, 55th. What? I don't even know anymore, Tito. You're aging well, though.
You knew it. You know, they're
great.
not going to cut any slack, and he doesn't care. He may feel 75 or 80.
There's a reason he doesn't have any hair left. You look at his dad, the original Tito, he's still got a full head of hair. He still looks dapper when you see him.
He didn't manage.
Poor Terry's lost every hair on his head. There's a liner toward right field coming at David Murphy. Makes the chest-high catch. And Salvador Perez feeling some frustration because he's hit some balls hard lately, and he has nothing to show for it. 0 for his last 18 at the plate.
Well, you know, when you hit it like that, you don't feel as bad. It was right on the nose, but right into the tracks of Murphy. Still doesn't help you. 0 for 18. Perez, a good fastball hitter.
Two down for Mike Moustakas. So as a hitter, you've always said, you know, no moral victories. You want the hits. You don't care how they come. But at least when you barrel a ball up when you've been struggling, at least you feel like, okay,
feels better.
I'm getting there.
Yeah,
right?
It feels better. Well, there's nothing you can do. You realize, hey, I hit it on the nose. That's all I can do. I don't think as a hitter you try and go up there the next time and hit it any harder. You know what I mean? You just try and put the same swing on the baseball, and then that's where you start finding it. When you can hit 2 or 3 or 4 in a row, pretty solid.
Broke his bat. And one hopper from the outfield grass. Jason Kipnis throws him out. And the Royals go 1-2-3. The bottom of the second here at Progressive Field, and for the Tribe, Michael Brantley will lead it off. He is now second in the American League with 18 runs driven in. Hits it hard right at Hosmer, the first baseman. And he races to the bag. That's almost exactly the same instant replay of what Brantley did last night. He hit a ball down to first, and Hosmer barely beat him to the bag. He made it a close play.
Well, let's check out the Kia Royals defense. Gordon in left, Dyson in center. Aoki is in right. Moustakas at third. Escobar at short. Infante is at second. Hosmer at first. Perez behind the plate.
Well, if last night, or if tonight turns out as well as it did last night for Brantley, he'll take that ground out to first.
No question.
His first time up. Now is Drupal Cabrera. We talked about Salvador Perez and his struggles, and he had a line drive that was right at the right fielder David Murphy, his first time up. Last night, as Drupal had 4 at-bats. He had a bunt single his first time up, and then the next 3 times up, very easily could have had 3 hits if not for terrific defense. Cabrera hit a line drive right back up the middle that the pitcher, Jeremy Guthrie, robbed him of a hit on in the 4th inning. Then on the 6th, he hit a deep fly ball to right field that Aoki made a sliding catch to take another hit away from him.
That's
Oops,
what
this
you need.
one, but it goes foul.
Keep it fair. That's what you need, one of those, instead of 2 of these. Line drive back, and they're both nice plays. Both guys, Guthrie, Aoki, made nice plays to take it from a base hit, and it's frustrating.
But that you saw the frustration there as Cabrera grabbed his jersey and screamed into it.
You know, he's struggling from this side of the plate. He's swinging much better from the right side, or at least getting hits.
One hopper, and it eats up Infante. And as Drupal is aboard with 1 out here in the 2nd inning.
There you go. Keep hitting them like that, as Drupal. They're going to start dropping. This one right on the nose, and you can see it had top spin. It's going down, and Infante didn't know if I had to go in on it. I could break, so he just stayed right there. That's an error. Wow. He can't buy a break. I'm going to go see if I can buy him a hit.
How much do you think that would cost you?
I don't know, but I'll be right back.
What's the going rate? What's the going rate these days?
I'm going to let you know.
David Murphy, he's hit in 5 straight games. Takes low ball 1. Chases 1 out of the zone, 1-1 to count. Right back up the middle, it's through. Cabrera hits second, he's going to go for third. Dyson's throw is not in time. Good aggressive base running by Drupal Cabrera. He gets to third, and the Indians have it set up now here in the 2nd inning with runners at the corners and 1 out.
That's a great hustle play there by Cabrera, because you want to try and get to third base. And Murph takes that pitch low, and you got to challenge him. Let's go. Why not put your head down and get after it? Make them make a good throw. Now, they made good throws last night on a relay. That one just gets there a little late. And now you have runners at the corner. So it's a good setup inning here with 1 out. And that was close.
But Cabrera, you can see, just did get the foot in ahead of the tag, but not by much.
No, that's good hustle. Much rather first and third than have him first and second.
Now it's up to Yan Gomes to try to get him home from third, at the very least. This is one of our keys to the game. When you get scoring chances against Shields, especially early, got to take advantage. Because he does not give up many.
No, he's been an outstanding road pitcher since he's become a Kansas City Royal. 11-4 with a 2.10 on the road since he's been in Kansas City, and one of the best since June 28th of last year, going 10-1.
One ball, one strike. Gomes 1 for 3 with a double last night. You may recall he went down and golfed one to left center field for a two-bagger. And a breaking ball dropped in nicely. And now Gomes falls behind 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He started that pitch at him. You see, he's sitting away Perez, but he starts that ball on the inner side. It goes on the inside part of the plate for a strike. Fastball away. Looking for a ground ball.
Up and away with it, though, and it's 2-2.
Actually, that might have been just a setup pitch for this pitch. He went with just a straight four-seam hard fastball, but it was out of the zone.
Fouled back out of play.
Yeah, he had one to hit there. He left it over the plate, not exactly where he wanted it. And he fouled it off. It came back with a changeup, I believe. It was, and there it was, a good pitch to hit.
Tells you about the confidence he has in that changeup, because many times right-handed pitchers won't throw a changeup to a right-handed hitter for fear that they leave it in the wheelhouse.
Well, he throws it, as I mentioned, a couple of different speeds.
Wow, just missed with that fastball. Good eye by Gomes.
1-2 pitch, you remember, was that fastball he tried to nail the outside corner, was upstairs. This one, he comes down and gets it down. Boy, not by much. Just a little outside on our Nissan pitch tracker. Not by much, but it was outside.
Swung on and missed. Gomes strikes out. He might have chased ball 4. Second K for Shields, and 2 down now in the inning.
Comes right back with that same pitch. That one, I think, would have been called a strike. It was close. It was, see, this is where he goes. But he came right back to the same spot that it was called a ball. He didn't give in. That one even might have been just a little bit more on the plate. But he gets the strikeout. Chance to get out of it now.
Lonnie Chisenhall continuing to swing a hot bat. Fouls it right back. Lonnie inserted into the cleanup spot last night, wound up 2 for 4. He has doubled 6 times in his last 9 games. But because of Chisenhall's performance, the Indians' number 9 hitters as a whole have the best batting average in all of Major League Baseball. In the dirt, nicely blocked by Perez.
I'll tell you what, that's a great pick, because what it does, it keeps Murphy at first base too. I mean, we showed you last night he did a nice job of moving and blocking balls around behind home plate. Anytime, and when you're on first base in this situation, you anticipate that, because it doesn't have to bounce very far and you can get to second.
Chisenhall in the number 9 spot on the order has gone 11 for 22 this year. And hit him. I think it hit him.
You don't want it to hit you, so don't.
So the bases are loaded with 2 down.
That's one where you say, no, it didn't hit me. It just hit out in front of the plate. The run scores, but now he's got to go back to third. He couldn't get out of the way. That ball was spiked into the ground, and it looked like it short hopped
way out in front, didn't it?
Yeah, and hit his leg. He couldn't get out of the way. Umpire picked up on it immediately. So did Perez.
So the bases are loaded with 2 down now for Michael Bourne, who singled right up the middle his first time up on a 3-2 pitch. It's a 1-2 pitch his first time up. As a team, the Indians have picked up 21 RBIs in bases loaded situations, and that leads all in Major League Baseball. Bourne with a base hit into right field. Cabrera scores. Murphy will be stopped at third. Michael Bourne is 2 for 2 on the night, and the Indians have a 1-0 lead.
Well, there you go. They hit well with the bases loaded. There's a 2-out base hit for you. And they're able to cash it in off James Shield. Let's make this our McDonald's. I'm loving it. 2-out base hit you got to love. And Bourne now 2 for 2. You can see he gets that ball right in front of Chisenhall.
He almost got hit again.
Yeah, right. Well, thank God he didn't get hit that time because the Indians are on the board. So the error, the hit batter certainly set up this inning, and a big 2-out base hit by Bourne set it up for the Tribe.
And now Nick Swisher, who was called out on a close call in the first inning.
Yeah,
it was borderline.
You know, he could throw the same pitch in this at bat, and it could be called a ball, and you can't. And then Shields couldn't complain. Get the big boy while you can. They had an opportunity in the first. Great opportunity here, and they were able to get through.
Once again, it's a 2-out hit. 2-out RBI hit. .275 career average for Swisher in bases loaded situations. In the air to center field, and Dyson will make the catch. The Indians load them up. They do get a run. The 2-out base hit by Michael Bourne as the Tribe in front early, 1-0. Tribe on top as we go now to the third inning. Alcides Escobar will lead it off for Kansas City. And a strike is called to even the count of 1-1. Escobar has 14 hits in his last 35 at bats, so he's been red hot. That equates out to a .400 batting average.
Yeah, he got off to a slow start this year. But what did he start the year? 0 for 16.
Popped up out of play.
How about the catch he made last night on a dead run? Catching it in foul territory off the bat of Jason Giambi to end the inning.
Yeah, that was, I mean, on the dead sprint. And, Rick, you know this as being a former outfielder. When a ball's hit off the bat, you can take an angle to the ball. That ball was hit straight up, so it's coming straight down. There's no angle.
Right.
He was on a dead sprint.
And had to catch it yeah, he just.
Terrific effort. And he wound up securing the out to end that inning. Full count here for Alcides Escobar as Danny Salazar tries to get back into the groove. He's retired 6 in a row. And he walks the leadoff man for the second time tonight. This is the play we're talking about. In case you missed it last night, look where Escobar was. He was almost at second base. He goes about 120 feet to run that thing down.
Going all downhill right there. And that's the way that field slopes a little bit for drainage, and that helped him out. But what a great catch that was.
Gerard Dyson. Left-handed hitter. Loves to lay down the bunt. Takes a strike. Tries to bunt it, but it goes foul. So with no balls and 2 strikes, Dyson takes it's a little bit high. 1-2. Snap throw over, but Escobar back with a dive. Dyson was asked about the squirrel delay last night. He said that squirrel wasn't going to bother me. He wasn't going to stop me from making a catch. 1-2 in the dirt. Gomes, nice block,
nice
and
stop.
He keeps Escobar at first base.
He might be the only guy fast enough on the field to catch that squirrel.
No doubt about that.
There's a nice block here by Yan Gomes. You see it hit his glove first and right into the chest protector to keep Escobar on first base. Well done.
I forget who it was. It might have been Ned Yost said, usually when somebody runs onto the field, they get tackled, but nobody tackled that squirrel last night.
They could have tried. They could have had everybody on that field chasing them.
Now the 2-2 and a slash foul. So Dyson stays alive. And Escobar goes back to first. Just a bit off the dish and a full count.
That's a changeup that's up and away. You can see that running away from him from that angle. I think he'll be off and running here.
Wants the fastball inside. Runner goes. Hit in the air pretty well. Center field, Bourne on the move. Makes the running grab. And Escobar back to first. Well, with more on last night's squirrel escapades, let's go downstairs to Katie.
Believe it or not, it is not the strangest thing that Terry Francona has seen on the field. Remember that rally chicken last year? I do. Well, also, he said today, when he was managing winter ball back in 1996 out in the Dominican Republic, he looked out into the outfield, getting ready for one of his 6:15 starts, and sure enough, there's a dog, a chicken, and a goat playing center field. No joke. But then Terry went on to say, you know, out there, that's just an average day in winter ball.
Well, I can believe that. Dog, chicken, or goat. I'm surprised they were all out there. They weren't on a dinner plate.
Dog, a chicken, and a goat walk into a baseball stadium.
That sounds like a joke there.
Yeah, it does. Nori Aoki drew a walk his only time up, leading off the ball game. And he takes a strike. Speaking of strange things last night, Kansas City's first base coach, Rusty Kuntz, during batting practice was loading up a bucket of baseballs in the outfield and was hit by a line drive off the bat of Salvador Perez and suffered a fractured wrist. And so Mike Jerschley is taking over as the Kansas City first base coach. And Jerschley's story in and of itself is pretty interesting. 21 years he has spent in the minor leagues in the Royals farm system, managing and roving, instructing, and finally this year got an opportunity to join the big league staff. Swing and a miss, the count 0-2.
21
Talk
years.
about paying your dues.
Yeah, no question. You talk about a lifer in the ball game, in the business. There it is, and you know now he's getting an opportunity to
coach first base.
Coach first base. It may not seem like a lot, but it certainly is to him, I'm sure.
Now the 0-2. Strike three called. Aoki out looking. Fourth strikeout for Salazar, 2 down in the inning. Time now for a Mazda game break as we go back to the studios with Al Pulaski.
Hey, man, Rick. Albert Pujols has the power stroke going early this season. His 7th home run here in the first inning ties him for the lead in Major League Baseball. It's also the 499th of his career. It's 4-1. Angels over the Nationals in D.C.
One more to go for the magical 500, huh? We're sort of hoping that he wouldn't hit it until maybe we get out there, we could see it.
We'll see him next week.
But, yeah, he's got it working.
Infante takes a look at a ball outside. Angels, kind of like the Indians, just trying to gain some traction. They began the night with a record of 9-10. The American League Central Division is the tightest division in baseball. And granted, it's only roughly 20 games, but only a game and a half separates first to last in the division.
All bunched together.
Runner goes, and the ball is hit out of play. Foul.
Not that that was a hit and run. He was taken off, but because there are 2 outs. But he didn't get a really good jump, so I was surprised he continued to go. But Infante certainly liked that pitch. He was going to swing at it anyway. As a base runner, if you're out there and you're going to steal and you don't get a good jump because, just something happens, usually you take a couple of steps and stop.
Swing and a miss as Infante went chasing one. Ball and 2 strikes now.
That's a slider that had good tilt to it. See, Infante, a good fastball hitter. Look at the downward movement. Very good. Straight down. That's when you stay behind.
Well, Salazar called Gomes out to talk about something. Maybe he said, that pitch was pretty good. Let's try it again.
Well, hopefully he can duplicate throwing that same pitch because I think he'd get the same result.
He didn't chase, though. And it's 2-2.
That's one thing that big league hitters do so well. You may get them to swing at one, for that strike 2. Now they get a look at it. Where maybe in the minor leagues or something, hitters will go ahead and chase that next one that's in the dirt for strike 3. Where big league hitters will say, no, I saw it once. I'm not going to swing at it again. At least not in this at-bat. Sometimes they do.
50th pitch of the night for Danny Salazar. Hit right back to him. He'll underhand it over to first. And the side is retired. No runs, no hits, 1 man left. 1-0 Cleveland, middle of the 3rd. Stay tuned for Miller Time coming up later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Indians and the Royals. As we roll to the bottom half of the 3rd inning, for Cleveland, it will be the 3, 4, and 5 hitters due up: Kipnis, Santana, and Brantley. Right back up the middle. It might have gotten a piece of Shields, and on the deflection, Escobar throws out Kipnis. Not sure if it did or if it didn't. It was right back at him, and I think it cleared his back. It might have grazed his jersey. Maybe. No,
it didn't. I thought it was hit harder than what it was. Maybe it might have been a little off the end of the bat.
But again, that's that defensive positioning.
Yes, it is.
Escobar had him shaded up the middle, and that's an out instead of a hit. Now Carlos Santana, who tried to bunt his way aboard by pushing one past the pitcher's mound his first time up, but he didn't get it by Shields, who threw him out. Good pitch in there for a strike. 1-2.
Good pitch.
And Santana out with the bat on his shoulder. Third strikeout for Shields, 2 down in the inning. Don't forget to tweet us your photos using the hashtag STOFanPhoto. You'll have a chance to have it shown later in our telecast here tonight or in a future ball game. It's all courtesy of AT&T. Michael Brantley will be the batter with 2 down here in the third. Grounded out his first time up. Fastball in the inside corner for a strike. Breaking ball down low. In the air to center field, Gerard Dyson is there. And the Indians go 1-2-3 for the first time tonight. 1-0 Cleveland as we go to the fourth.
Indians game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Give live look-ins, instant replay, audio, scores, the free MLB TV game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Indians.com.
Fourth inning, and the Indians hold a slim 1-0 lead over Kansas City. Royals will send 3, 4, and 5 to the plate. Eric Hosmer, Billy Butler, and Alex Gordon. Salazar, 50 pitches, 29 of those have been strikes. And 7 out of the 12 batters he has faced have seen a first pitch strike. Oh. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hosmer 0 for 5 now in the series. Down on the dirt, 2 balls and a strike. Hit up the middle, and Hosmer is aboard to start the 4th for Kansas City. Their first hit of the night.
Well, Hosmer, a guy that likes to extend the arms. He's off the plate, and he can hit pitches up, down. It doesn't matter. He uses the whole field. He gets the Royals' first hit tonight. Base hit back up the middle.
Well, we have some belated birthday wishes going out tonight to George Samganari. His daughter Janie sent us a letter, but we got it a little bit belated. But George faithfully watches the Indians every night from Cortland, Ohio, celebrating his 94th birthday a couple of days ago. So, George, happy birthday. Bouncer to third. Santana can't come up with it. And the Royals have 2 on with nobody out.
Well, they're going to get aggressive on the fastball second time through right now, and you can see that hop took up and got by Santana in a hurry. So back-to-back hits for Kansas City. This is when it started for Salazar in Detroit after the second time, through the lineup. He was outstanding the first 3 innings, so they have first and second and nobody out.
And this is not the guy you want to see up if you're Cleveland, because Alex Gordon has been lethal with runners in scoring position so far this year. Way up high and out of the strike zone. There you go, 455 with runners in scoring position.
Well, now you just don't want to overthrow here and get yourself behind the hitters, the good hitters especially. In Detroit in the 5th that happened to him, where the 3-1 pitch, he grouped one, and it was a 3-run homer. Continue to just relax free and easy and pitch ahead in the count. These guys will change their patterns the second time they face you. They may get a little more aggressive.
Got in on his hands and popped him up.
Good pitch.
Swisher makes the catch, 1 away. Stat of the game brought to you by Buick. Kansas City with 6 home runs as a team, the fewest in the majors. Hard to believe Baltimore's on that list, the park they play in.
And the hitters that are in that lineup. It is hard to believe. The guy that led all of baseball in home runs last year.
Crush Davis. Salvador Perez, line to right. His first time up, takes high ball 1. Perez hitless in his last 18 at bats. But Royals fans know it's only a matter of time before he gets it going. popped him up back out of play.
Back over our heads. If you remember Aroldis Chapman this spring, remember he was hit in the face with a line drive. And, he's been on the DL ever since. This is the guy that was the batter in the spring training game playing the Royals. Salvatore Perez, he's a good fastball hitter. And, he likes it down. He can get after it. I see Chapman, though, is out throwing, and he'll be back before you know it.
And missed in the count 1-2. Well, I'm sure after that incident in spring training, Perez felt awful, and I remember seeing the comments, and he reflected that. And he did yesterday, too, even though, it's nothing he could do. He hits a line drive, and it hits a coach in the outfield, breaks his wrist, but he went up to the coach and immediately was apologizing, though it's not his fault.
No.
But that's just his nature.
Well, it's just unfortunate. I'm a little surprised it doesn't happen more, to be honest with you. I am. When we sit out here and watch batting practice all day long, how many times you see line drives where guys are playing catch out here, not paying attention, and they just go like that? I'm surprised it doesn't happen more.
Well, a little gallows humor, Kuntz, who had his wrist fractured by the line drive, said Salvador came up to him and said, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" He said, no, I'm not all right. In fact, I might throw up right now. The 1-2 pitch. Anybody who's experienced intense, severe pain knows that sometimes you can get those feelings of nauseousness.
Yeah.
And he's I checked with the Royals people today. It sounds like Rusty Kuntz is going to have surgery here in Cleveland. And he's hopeful that he'll be back on the field if it's not too big of a cast by the end of the week.
Well, he wouldn't be able to wave the runners around first. That cast would be too heavy.
2 on, 1 out, 1-2 pitch.
Throw
his bat at it, and the bat went down beyond third base.
That goes as a strikeout. You'll take it.
Wow.
Number 5 for Salazar.
2 down in the inning, more importantly.
Slider down. That ball, I thought, and you know what? He didn't even tag him.
He just left.
Yeah, he left. There goes the bat. I don't know if you're embarrassed or what, but guy on first. I'm sorry. But the slider going down, and he swung over the top.
Well, 2 down and a chance to get out of it for Salazar if he can retire Moustakas. He broke his bat his first time up and induced a ground ball to second base. Moustakas with a hit in the series. The only hit in his last 12 at-bats overall. Oh, what a pitch. Wow, that had some wicked movement.
Well, when it starts out, a breaking ball starts out at the knees and you watch it go down, it's excellent. It's out of the zone. That right there is pretty much unhittable, especially when you're throwing 94, 95 like Danny is.
Hammered and gone. Moustakas gets his revenge and comes back with a 2-out, 3-run homer to put the Royals on top 3-1.
Now, it was another breaking ball, and that time it was up, and they go a long way when you don't locate them. So now Salazar has given up a home run in every start, and it's the second straight game he's given up a big 3-run home run. So Moustakas gets him. Watch the spinner here. Right there. That's the middle of the plate that was just spinning. So it speeds up the bat. He threw it. Was that a changeup or a slider? I thought it was a hanging slider. It might have been a changeup. Might have been the changeup.
Whatever it was, it had "hit me" written all over it.
And he did.
So with 2 outs, Kansas City gets the big blast. And they go in front as Alcides Escobar steps in. And that'll help buoy the spirits of Mike Moustakas, who has really been scuffling this year. It is his 3rd home run for a team that does not hit many. Just their 7th on the year as a club.
You know, that coming with 2 outs, too. That's a big pick-me-up for the Royals offense.
Ran it in off the plate.
When you watch how he tried to set Moustakas up, there's the first pitch. That was a good changeup, had him out in front. He's going to come back with a good slide. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The first one was that slider, then the changeup.
The 2-1. Hit in the hole on a base hit. Escobar keeps the inning alive.
He was going to try and do a pop-up slide and make a throw if he comes up with the ball. And had a little divot right there. Please replace your divots. And that is a clump.
Mickey Callaway coming out to talk with Salazar. That big hit by Mike Moustakas taking maybe some of the wind out of his sails. He hadn't given up a hit before the inning. And then Hosmer with a leadoff single. Butler with a base hit. Then he gets 2 big outs, Gordon and Perez. But Moustakas drives one out of here for a 2-out, 3-run homer. And Kansas City takes the lead. The number 9 hitter is Gerard Dyson, who flied to center his first time up.
You may see him off and running here with 2 outs now, too, trying to stay aggressive. They know he's shaking a little bit. Just add more pressure to him.
Runner goes. Gomes throw too high into center field, and Escobar's going to go to third.
He's having some issues throwing the baseball, isn't he? A tough time throwing it. He throws another one into center field, so give a stolen base and an error on Gomes. Let's see if he opens up too quickly. Yeah, look at that. Usually when you get that front shoulder open, it's high and away as a pitcher would throw. Well, the same thing will happen to a catcher or any position player. You open up, that ball goes up and away, and he throws it into center field. Maybe trying to get a little too much on it.
Dyson bunts it. Swisher, no play. Royals steal a run, 4-1 Kansas City.
Boy, oh boy, how nice was that as a little hitter comes back, 2 outs, man on third base. And he just has to make sure it gets past the mound. And if he can beat Swisher before he gets the ball, he's by him. No one's going to cover. Easy bunt, great bunt with 2 outs. That's his game.
Nori Aoki, the batter. He has walked and struck out tonight. Almost got to expect Dyson will be off and running here.
Absolutely. You continue to put the pressure on. Team that normally doesn't hit home runs, they have a home run in the inning. Now they got a stolen base, and they have a lead in the middle part of the ball game. They will stay aggressive the rest of the way. A big inning by Salazar. Can't stop the bleeding.
Activity now in the Indians bullpen. Looks like Josh Outman, left-hander up, getting loose. It's been a recurring theme, it seems like. Think back to that start recently that by Carlos Carrasco, Salazar's last start. That crooked number, that big inning.
Yeah, you gotta keep the big numbers on the board. But you know what jumps out at me more in the same two? Second time through the lineup. They're making adjustments with these guys, and these guys aren't doing anything to stop it. I mean, it's young. You learn, and every start out there is going to be different, but you can't all of a sudden put up a big inning, especially when you're pitching against a guy like a James Shields.
Ripped foul. Well, I wonder, too, you've got a young pitching staff primarily, and you've got a young catcher. And so, you know, Gomes is learning right along with a lot of these young pitchers. Yep. It's not like he's a wily old veteran who knows how to set guys up.
These guys through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So they're all going through growing pains at the same time.
Well, they better grow up in a hurry.
Another throw over, and Dyson is back again. 75 pitches so far for Salazar. 45 of those have been strikes.
You know, when you get into your rotation and you have guys, and we're looking at it at least 2 times through a rotation, you're not getting guys going 5 innings. And that, you know, does some damage to that bullpen. We've got 2 more games in this series, and hopefully he can get through this inning and a couple more.
Aoki strikes out to end the inning. But Kansas City comes back with a 4 spot, highlighted by the 3-run homer off the bat of Mike Moustakas. Back with a doubleheader as Mike Trout and the Angels take on the Yankees, and the Pirates square off with the Cardinals. All the action starts at 12:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, streaming live on Fox Sports Go. We'll be in San Francisco this weekend as the Indians take on the San Francisco Giants at beautiful AT&T Park. We'll have all the action for you, all 3 games coming your way on Sports Time Ohio. Friday night, 10 o'clock Eastern, and then Saturday and Sunday, both games will be 4 o'clock Eastern time. Still plenty more to go here between the Indians and the Royals, though. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Plus, we've got a night game tomorrow, and then Thursday, a 12 o'clock game between these 2 foes.
Starting out with a 4-game series against the Royals.
Cabrera lines one pretty well hit deep left. Gordon back, and it's going to get knocked down, and he'll make the catch easily. 1 away. Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk and Elk. Shin-Soo Choo has an ankle injury. They're going to do an MRI on that, and obviously they're holding their breath in Texas. Chris Sale, a left forearm problem, has landed him on the DL for Chicago. And over in the National League, Michael Kadire, the former Twin, with a left hamstring injury. David Murphy takes a strike. Murphy, a base hit his first time up. Down in the dirt.
Whoa, is that wind picking up now?
Yeah, it sure is. Murphy pops it high in the air. Center fielder Gerard Dyson in. Out goes Escobar. And the shortstop has it. 2 down.
Well, please vote yes on issue 7 and help keep Cleveland strong. Issue 7 means jobs and it's not a tax increase. Voting yes on issue 7 helps protect our sports facilities and critical services. Get your vote by mail form at keepclevelandstrong.org.
Rick, we were talking last night. I think we even showed the video of the brawl, the melee that ensued in Pittsburgh between the Pirates and the Brewers. Major League Baseball handed out all the discipline today, and Martin Maldonado, who landed the sucker punch,
right,
was given the biggest suspension of 5 games. Carlos Gomez got 3 games. Travis Snyder got 2 games. He's the guy that got punched in the face. And Russell Martin for Pittsburgh.
And you know what? The funny thing, the guy that instigated everything got nothing.
Now, how does that happen?
That's a joke. He's the one that came over and started chirping.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't understand that.
Upstairs with it.
Well, I'm sure they did their investigation and everything. We just happened to see the video. But it certainly, it did. He's the one that instigated it. That's it. Be the instigator. Nothing happens.
There used to be a penalty in hockey. I don't know if they still have the instigator penalty. I used to love that. I wanted to get that penalty called.
Instigator penalty? Be the agitator.
2 minutes for instigating. Go sit in the corner for 2 minutes.
Well, that's happened to you a lot, I'm sure.
Line to left field off the bat of Gomes. Gordon dives, but he trapped the ball. It'll be a long, hard-hit single for Yan Gomes with 2 outs here in the 4th inning.
I'll tell you, nice attempt there by Gordon. Normally you just give the base hit, but he tried to dive and catch it, and he's able to smother it so it's not for extra bases. You don't want to give up an extra base hit with 2 outs, but he thought he could catch it. He's that good of an outfielder, that's why. And he knocks it down. Shields happy, says nice effort, love it. So it's a 2-out base hit for Gomes.
We've talked about it over the years many times before, but what a great move that has been for Kansas City. Gordon, who they touted as their next great third baseman, didn't quite cut it there. They moved him to the outfield. He's won 3 straight Gold Gloves, and
different animal.
He's become a terrific player for them.
Well, he's not the only guy. Many players move from a position and succeed after that. But
Jason Kipnis went from the outfield to the infield.
See, I think it's easier to go from the infield to the outfield than it is from the outfield to the infield. But you're right, Kipnis as well. A lot of players have.
The 1-0.
I want to send out a special hello tonight to a longtime Tribe fan, Jim Lyle from Lima, Ohio.
Lonnie Chisenhall hits one high in the air. It doesn't appear to be a good night to hit the ball high in the air, though. Just not getting much carry. Indians are out here in the 4th, and Kansas City leads it by 3. Sunnyside Honda. Sunny will save you money. By Levin Furniture. And by Kia. Visit mykiacleveland.com to learn more. (4-1) Kansas City on top as we roll on to inning number 5 here at Progressive Field. For Kansas City, OMAR INFANTE, Eric Hosmer, and Billy Butler due up. By the way, we were talking about that melee between Milwaukee and Pittsburgh.
Right.
I wanted to mention to you, in case you didn't see it, the Brewers are going to unveil a new statue of Bob Uecker this Friday when they play the Cubs at home. This is just a stroke of genius by somebody. Remember the famous Miller Lite commercial with Uecker?
Must be the front row.
I must be in the front row.
Right.
It's the statue of Uecker sitting in the last row at Miller Park, way up top somewhere in the ballpark.
Beautiful.
That's awesome, isn't it? He might be the only guy who ends up with 2 statues at the same park because they already have a statue of Uecker outside on the home plate plaza at Miller Park, along with Hank Aaron, Robin Yount.
I think he's made 2 or 3 other ones and just set them around the park himself.
He's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing, we haven't played Milwaukee in a long time to even get a chance to see him. He still does the radio for him.
You know, I'm trying to remember. You and I went to Milwaukee our first year working together back in 07, but those were games against the Angels.
Yeah, they were out of town. We called. Remember, I called Bill Schroeder when we were in his in their booth.
That's right.
In their chairs on the road.
High fly ball on the infield. Santana. 1 away. Going back to that, the fight though. This was what.
Okay, watch how the pitcher started it. All right, everything's done. That's it. Well, you're not seeing it right here, but he came up and started talking to Gomez. And then there comes Snyder.
Yeah, you didn't see the video of the pitcher, Garrett Cole, who's a good kid. He's a terrific young kid. But you know what? He got caught up in the heat of the moment. He didn't like the fact that Gomez almost took one out of the yard. And he went over and he said some things, and Gomez got pretty fired up about it. And the next thing you know, the cavalry came on both sides, and it got ugly. But I think what's going to be interesting, Rick, is how the rest of the season plays out between those two. Because there's going to be some hard feelings, but everybody's going to have their antenna up. All the umpires, everybody will be on red alert.
That'll be different. You see that throughout, baseball at certain times with certain teams.
Several years ago between the Indians and Twins. Yeah. Every time we played them, everybody was, before the game, the umpire said, now you both be on your best behavior.
Right.
Managers don't want that because then it literally can force your pitching staff to not throw inside, and you've got to be able to pitch inside.
Yeah, that's true. And then if your pitcher is ejected for throwing it hitter, you're gone too as a manager.
Here's the 2-2, and that one got away. Full count. Now the payoff pitch. Hit the deep center. Bourne watching it hit high off the wall. And he'll make the throw in towards second base, but it overshoots everybody.
That was a vicious line drive.
Hosmer can hit the ball hard. He might hit it about as hard as anybody.
Look at that. I mean, straight away center field, and that hits it on the line. 400-foot liner.
Now Billy Butler, who singled and scored his last time up. Royals have a club option for Billy Butler for next year. And, of course, the debate will become, do they pick that option up? There's a high fly ball hit the fairly deep center, and Bourne is really going back at the wall. Can't make the play. Coming around third, Hosmer's going to score, and Butler's into second base. Bourne got back there, and I think he got leather on it, but it just didn't stick for the second night in a row. And Kansas City adds to their lead. They're now up 5-1.
Well, as you mentioned, it's not a good day to hit it in the air. Well, he hit it in the air. That goes to show you how hard he hit it. Goes straight away center field. Bourne gets back to the 400-foot sign. He jumps and almost jumped into the wall. Went off the end of his glove. If he could have gotten back there. Again, you're going to see just 4 1/3 innings coming out of Danny Salazar in another start.
Those last two balls were really hammered. And Salazar with another early exit. Kansas City on top 5-1. Today's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen is for left-hander Josh Outman. He'll be on when we return. As you called it, a vicious line drive, and it came off his bat at over 105 miles an hour.
That's unbelievable. That's hit about as hard as you can hit a ball. And I'll tell you what, with Salazar, if he doesn't hit his spots, guys have really put good swings on him. He started out tonight 0 for 9. The hitters did, and they finished 7 for 11. So it caved in again for Danny Salazar after going just 4 1/3 innings, giving up 6 hits. We'll turn it over to Josh Outman now for the 9th time.
Gordon chases one in the dirt. Butler, who almost hit one out of here, stands at second base.
Got to send along birthday wishes, too, to Frank Schubert. 56 today. He's down in low third. He's running camera number 1 down there for us. Frank, happy birthday to you, buddy. There he is. Look, there's Frank. Hey, don't be afraid. It looks like he's in Alaska.
It looks a little chilly.
Yeah, right. We don't know if that's Frank or not. We got to double check. Can you take some of those layers off, Frank?
Pitch outside from Outman, 2-1 to count. He said he's acknowledging yes.
Okay, there he is. Now we get a good look at him. That's fine.
Low and away. And Outman is falling behind now. 3 balls and a strike. And he walks him. So Gordon aboard. In-game recap brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Michael Bourne with a 2-out RBI single in the second gave the Indians a 1-0 lead. It stayed that way until the fourth when, with 2 outs, Mike Moustakas hit a 3-run homer to put the Royals on top. Gerard Dyson with a drag bunt RBI single made it 4-1, and that was before this inning. The back-to-back doubles have now increased the Royals' lead to 5-1. Salvador Perez 0 for 2. Pops this one up on to shallow center field, and Bourne has that 2 down.
Well, the first of our 13 Sugardale Dollar Dog Nights will take place Friday, May 2nd. Come on out, the Chicago White Sox in town. It'll be dollar dogs all night long.
He went around.
We have one last birthday going out there, and it is belated to Christina Rudy of Struthers, Ohio, from April 18th. Happy birthday.
Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. Two on, 2 out here in the fifth. Kansas City leading at 5-1. Josh Outman about the deal to Moustakas. That time he wouldn't chase. Lefty-lefty matchup here as Moustakas awaits the 1-2 from Outman. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out here in the fifth. Danny Salazar tonight in his start was brilliant first time through the lineup. But in the second time around, the Royals got to him. Both runners will move up on a wild pitch here.
Now, very wild one. No chance for Gomes to keep it in front. He tried. Hit ricochets.
Time called. Moustakas again waiting. The 3-2 pitch. And it's popped back out of play. Mike Moustakas spent a good chunk of the past off season in Venezuela, working with Royals hitting coach Pedro Grifol and former Royals hitting coordinator Jose Castro. Trying to regain his offensive stroke.
Exactly.
And the confidence that goes along with it.
Well, it happened. It worked out well there, but he's starting the year out struggling.
Swisher will flip it, and Outman beats him to the bag to end the inning. But Kansas City picks up another run, and we'll go to the bottom of the fifth. 5-1 Kansas City. Tribe takes on the Royals tomorrow night in Game 3 of this 4-game series here at Progressive Field. Indians Live leads off our coverage at 6:30, and we'll bring you every pitch starting at 7. For the Tribe here in the home half of the 5th inning, top of the order due up against James Shields.
Borney trying to get something going, bunts it foul. He's 2 for 2 tonight.
Singled right up the middle in the first to start the game, and then drove in the Indians' only run with a 2-out RBI single to right field in the second.
That's leading the game off. High changeup and then hit the fastball in the hole. That's a nice sight. See him swinging it like that.
Yes.
Get him going. They have to get him going. They got to get a couple of guys going. The second inning, they really had Shields in trouble, but one was because of an error. He hit a batter. But as we mentioned at the top of the show, you're not going to get many opportunities off this guy to where you're going to keep him in trouble. He doesn't give up a lot of hits. He's capable of striking you out. He's coming off a 12 strikeout game.
He's got number 4 on the night right there, and we'll go back to the studios for a Mazda game break.
Matt, Albert Pujols has done it his 500th career home run. He did it here in the top half of the 5th inning. He's the 26th member of the 500 club and the first to hit numbers 499 and 500 on the same night. The Angels have the lead now 6-2. Congrats, Albert. Next.
Well, Rick, he wasn't going to wait for us.
Well, you know what? That's okay. I mean, to do it in back-to-back, I don't know if he did it back-to-back at-bats, but that's pretty awesome. Same game, get it out of the way. Nobody has a chance to talk about it and let it build up on you. You take care of it. Now you can say, I got it. Let's move on. Good for him. Congratulations.
No, they're the great home run hitters, and all of those guys who were in that 500 club categorized as great home run hitters, they get in grooves, and they can hit them in bunches. Jim Thome was like that.
I think they all are.
Yeah,
anyone you get to see.
You're not surprised to see.
And you don't have to be in the 500 home run club to do that. Guys like Frank Howard and other guys that were prolific home run hitters. They get in the grooves and they'll hit 7 in a week. They just get on a roll.
Ken Griffey Jr., remember, he could get on a roll.
Yeah.
Hit a bunch in a short period of time.
I think Don Mattingly homered 7 straight games.
Yeah.
8 straight games.
Swisher draws a 1-out walk here in the inning, and it will bring up Jason Kipnis. Jason Kipnis looks at a strike. Pulls it foul. Sandy Alomar wasn't necessarily a prolific home run hitter, but he, in that 97 season, which was magical for him, he homered in 5 of the first 6 games that year. And it
never stopped.
Kind of told you what kind of year it was going to be for him. It never cooled off. Kipnis called out on strikes. Second strikeout of the inning, 2 down here in the 5th.
Comes inside with a pitch right here, and it's right there. It's above the belt. I know it.
Anytime you see a catcher frame it that much, I mean, watch how far his glove comes down.
There was some high strikes called last night.
Time called as Santana steps away. Carlos 0 for his last 10, a swing and a miss, and then he conked his compadre Perez on the helmet on the follow-through.
I don't know of any hitter that does that more than Santana. If I was a catcher, I'd end up moving back when he hits. Then you probably get beat up by the baseball if he fouls it off.
Now the 0-2. Struck him out. Shields strikes out the side here in the 5th. 5-1 Kansas City. The 6th inning, and as we promised you earlier, the AT&T fan photo of the game. Remember, you can send us your fan photos by tweeting us using the hashtag STOFanPhoto, and we'll show them at some point during the telecast. Kansas City on top, 5-1. They'll send the 8, 9, and 1 hitters to the plate here in the 6th. Josh Outman, who got the final 2 outs of the 5th, stays on to start the 6th. Kansas City, the fans in that city have been waiting for a long time for the Royals to reemerge. During your career, especially towards the end of your career, the Royals, they were the class organization of the American League. And people fail to realize they had one of the highest payrolls in baseball back then, too. And they were ahead of the Yankees. Of course, they're paying George Brett a lot of money. And rightfully so. He was the cornerstone of a great franchise. But they had a terrific run there. And it's been a long time, though, and fans have been waiting and waiting. They've seen good players come and go, like Carlos Beltran and a number of others.
Yeah, they had a lot of players.
Johnny Damon, yeah.
Right.
But they've got a good nucleus. They feel like they're close. But they've kind of been there the last several years, but they just haven't made the push that people have expected. Grounded slowly towards third. Santana, bare hand, nope, can't come up with it. And Escobar is aboard for the second time tonight.
Now, back when Kansas City was real good, there were 2 divisions. There weren't 3, back in those days. And they were the elite over in the Western Division.
Wendy slow-mo replays. You got to look at Santana unable to come up with that bare hand grab. It's the only shot he had on a little slowly hit ball.
Even if he fields it cleanly, I don't think he gets him. Escobar going to beat it out anyway. Once Oakland cooled off back in the 70s. 2, 3, and 4. Oakland was there, and then Kansas City started to take supremacy back in the mid to, in the 70s.
Well, where the Royals are at right now, nobody's ever going to compare what the Royals have to what they had in those George Brett days, just like no one's going to compare any Indians team to what they had in the 90s. You just can't go back, and it's impossible
Don't
to
compare generations, right.
But what people in Kansas City are wondering is, will this team get over this proverbial hump? Will they stop talking about being a good team, and will they be a good team? Will they get to the playoffs? Will they challenge? And they challenged last year, but they fell off at the end. But that all falls on deaf ears if you're a Royals fan. They want to see the team
prove it,
get in the playoffs,
prove it,
win the division, do something in October.
I think they were the best team in the second half last year, and they ended up winning 86 ball games. Their pitching staff was outstanding.
Nice play by Asdrubal Cabrera to turn 2 right there. Just kicked the bag at second and executed a perfect throw on to first base for the double play.
That's about the only way you're going to get a double play with this guy running right over the bag. You don't have to feed anybody. You just step on the base and throw it to first and complete the double play.
Sometimes, though, with young players, Rick, and we saw this, I think, last year with the Indians, it takes having some success to get that confidence to know, hey, you can do this. You are good enough. And maybe with so many young players, the Royals haven't been to the playoffs, and they're still maybe have just a little bit of a doubt in the back of their mind. But I thought I ran across a really good quote from George Brett. And he says, quote, "The more successful you are in crunch time, the more you believe you're going to be successful." He said, "I don't know what comes first, the success or the confidence. It's like the chicken and the egg. But I do know that nobody ever came through without thinking they could."
Right. Well, and they had a guy. That's why they went out and traded for a guy like James Shields, who's pitching tonight. They needed that one starting pitcher that they felt could carry him. Well, you know what? Unfortunately, he's going to be, a free agent at the end of the year, isn't he?
Yes.
Will they be able to keep him? They put together a pretty good team, a solid team, but are they going to be able to keep it? You got your young players we were starting here. How much longer does Hosmer stay there? And
that's why this is such a critical year for Dayton Moore, the general manager, and this Royals bunch.
Right. And maybe they could use a couple more veterans to show these guys leadership. They came up together, but they never came up in a winning atmosphere.
And, so much of baseball is failure and dealing with it. And I thought it was interesting. George Brett says the key is throwing out the failure and living off the success. He goes, I can't remember the 110 outs I made in the postseason, but I'll tell you all about the 56 hits I had. Ball in the dirt, and Aoki draws a walk to keep the inning alive, and it will bring up OMAR INFANTE. But before he gets to the plate, Terry Francona is quickly out of the dugout to make a move to the bullpen. So Outman goes an inning and a third, and his night is over. He'll be responsible for that runner at first base. C.C. Lee coming on next. Tonight's game for our second screen experience. You can chat about the game, keep up with everything happening with your Cleveland Indians. With 2 down and a runner at first, OMAR INFANTE will be the batter, and he'll be facing KCA Lee, right-hander, on for the 5th time this year. Runner goes. Gomes with a good throw this time, and they got him. Gomes guns down Aoki to end the inning. And we'll go to the bottom of the 6th. 5-1 Kansas City. (5-1) Kansas City.
Hoods are up. Look at blankets are out.
Yeah.
It's turning into one of those nights after a couple gorgeous days down here. Getting a little chilly tonight. Tomorrow night. Then we'll wrap it up Thursday afternoon here before we head out to the West Coast.
The ups and downs of weather in the Midwest in the month of April, huh?
No kidding, April. Before you get to, Memorial Day.
Michael Brantley's going to lead off the bottom of the 6th. He'll be followed by Asdrubal Cabrera and then David Murphy. Shields has made 80 pitches on the night. Breaking ball missing. The combination of Swisher, Kipnis, Santana, and Brantley 0 for 10 tonight. That's not so much the story, but coming into this at bat, 38 pitches collectively, 25 strikes thrown by Shields. So he has been effective, and he has attacked the key guys in the Indians lineup.
Well, you go right after him, and that's where strikeouts come. He has 6 tonight. Is when you can get ahead of the count and you expand the strike zone. He has enough weapons to go at it. He can go with a changeup, the slider, the fastball in. He's got, as I mentioned, 2 different kinds of changeups. Coming off a 12 strikeout performance. He had struck out 7 straight in his last start down in Houston. There's the slider.
And that evens the count of 2-2.
That's why at the start of the game you say you take advantage of your opportunities, because there's not many that come around with Shields unless he has one of those bad games, but rarely does he ever give up like a big number.
Bounced up the middle and it's through. No surprise as Michael Brantley has his first hit of the night, second hit in the series. And Brantley gets aboard to start the bottom of the 6th for the Tribe. First time since the start of the game the Indians have had their leadoff man aboard.
That high changeup away, just out of the reach of Shields' glove. And once it gets past him, it gets into the outfield. The difference tonight, the Indians now with 5 hits, all singles. It's Kansas City that has the home run, and it's a 3-run homer.
Yeah, and it was...
That's the difference.
Last time the Indians had their leadoff man, it was that high changeup that Bourne banged up the middle in the first inning.
Right.
Here is Asdrubal Cabrera, 0 for 2, but Cabrera rightfully could have a hit. It was ruled an error on his ball that was hit in the second inning, but it was a smash to second. Then OMAR INFANTE didn't even get leather on, but he was charged with an error. Infante, the Kansas City second baseman after many years in Detroit. Pitch outside. 1-1 to count. You mentioned before about James Shields. You know, he'll be a free agent at season's end, and who knows what the Royals' fortunes are and how much money it's going to take. It's going to take a small fortune to keep James Shields, though.
The way the money's going for the pitchers, I don't see Kansas City able to keep him.
He's only 32 years old.
True.
And, you know, if the numbers, you know, we were talking about at the end of spring training, the Homer Bailey contract, you're talking $17 million a year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
James Shields is going to get more than that, I would think. Then.
Well, he's going to be around there, I would think. That's the going rate if that continues. But you got to wait to see what they do this year. If they don't finish up around the top or come closer, win the division, how do you re-sign a guy like that?
Yeah.
In that market, can you? I don't think so.
2 balls and a strike. I think it would be very unlikely that Shields stays in Kansas City just because of what we talked about. I mean, the numbers, you're talking close to $20 million a year. And it's going to take, I would think, Rick, based on just on the going rate, what we've seen across baseball, 5 years at minimum, probably 5 years in a free agent contract to land.
Well, it seems like that, yes.
But every team has to deal with those kinds of situations, you know, pending free agents. How are you going to?
Yeah, who wants to take a risk and sign them?
You worry about that when you get to it. 2-2. And Cabrera is out looking. That's the 7th strikeout of the night for James Shields. The reason we bring it up, though, is because of the situation that Kansas City finds themselves in, trying so desperately to win back that fan base, get into the postseason. They're banking on this year, and they're banking big.
Well, you can see the quality of pitches that he has, and he can attack a hitter. 7 strikeouts for Shields tonight. That gives him 33 on the year.
Shields, of course, came from Tampa, and I just saw where Matt Moore, their talented left-hander, Tommy John surgery. So
right.
His year's done.
Yes, it is.
Murphy fouls it off the end of the bat. And it's 0-2. Speaking of Tampa Bay, the Rays lead Minnesota 7-3. They're in the 6th inning. Detroit is clobbering Chicago 8-2. They're in the 6th in Detroit. New York's in Boston tonight, and surprisingly, I read where Jacoby Ellsbury was booed by the Red Sox fans tonight.
Hard to believe, huh?
Shoots it by Mike Sarbaugh, the third base coach. And the count is 1-2 for Murphy with 1 on and 1 out here in the 6th. And the Indians looking for some offense, some spark. You know it's going to be tough against Shields. His ERA in his first 4 starts was 2 coming into tonight's game. Averaging almost 7 innings per start.
Well, that's the big thing, 7 innings per start. He's a guy that you know he's going to go out there and keep you in a ball game for a solid 7. In Kansas City, normally with an outstanding bullpen, you turn it over to them if they can get a guy a run or get him a lead. Their problem is they haven't been able to score 4 runs.
Well,
or
again,
more.
That's the thing. They're undefeated when they do.
9-0 when they score 4 or more, and 0-9 when they score 3 or less. So they're at 5-1 right now. So the Indians have their work cut out for them here in the bottom half of the 6th.
And the 2-2 is way outside a full count. The Indians could definitely use a jolt of some type.
How about a bloop and a blast? That's what they could use.
That would be a thing of beauty. Runner goes. 3-2. Swung on and missed. Throw down is too high. Michael Brantley has his 3rd stolen base of the year, but there are 2 down in the inning as James Shields has 8 strikeouts now on the night. Once again, a Mazda game break. Here's Al.
Matt, you were just talking about the Tigers and White Sox, and yeah, Detroit with an 8-2 lead in the 7th inning. One of the reasons, Miguel Cabrera, a 2-run homer here in the 3rd. Detroit scored 5 runs that inning, and Miguel Cabrera with this homer, it's his 2nd of the year, but his 1st since April 4th. Matt?
Opposite field. I mean, that guy has some kind of power. Here's Yan Gomes. Base hit his last time up. 2 hits in the series. Even a 2-out base hit right here, just to get another run home, would be huge for the Tribe. I don't know if Shields looked like he kind of came off the mound a little awkwardly after that last pitch. This will be his 100th pitch of the night. 59 so far have been strikes, though it seems like more than that.
Sure does.
60%.
Because he's even around the plate. You know, when he misses, he doesn't miss by much.
Mm-hmm. Shields might have had trouble getting on the same page with Perez. Rip foul, third base side.
He's been going through some bats, too.
Well, he's got a new piece of lumber as he goes back to home plate. Out to the mound goes the catcher Perez to talk with Shields. Michael Brantley, who singled to start the inning, stole a base, but he's still there with 2 down. Gomes pulls the hands in, lines it down the left field line, a fair ball. Into the corner it goes. Brantley scores. Gomes into second base with a 2-out RBI double. And oh, baby, did the Indians need that. It's now a 5-2 Kansas City lead, but that gives the Tribe a little life.
Yeah, they needed that. Another 2-out base hit. It's the second hit, and both their runs coming with 2 outs. He tried to go back in. It wasn't a fastball, though. It was a breaking ball. And he still might have busted his bat, but he was able to keep that ball fair down the line. And it gets down into the corner. So Gomes gets his 3rd double. Will get his 7th RBI, and now it's a 5-2 ball game.
Here's Lonnie Chisenhall, hit by a pitch and is flied out. Swing and a miss. Left-hander Danny Duffy now up in the Royals bullpen as Shields looks for the 3rd out in this 6th inning and what could be his final inning of work here tonight. He's gone as many as 115 pitches already this year.
Yeah, I would think this, if you can get 6 innings and complete it, that'll be fine for the month of April.
Lefty Danny Duffy, there he is, getting loose.
That's the only lefty in that Royals bullpen. As of right now, Tim Collins is on the disabled list. And didn't they say they were going to send him out for rehab, or he's ready to?
He says he's ready to go, but they want him to make a rehab start,
okay.
So he's going to go out probably the next day or two.
You know, it seems like every time we play the Royals, he comes in and pitches against us at some point in time.
Again, second time this inning that Shields and Perez trying to get together on a sign. Chisenhall fouls it back. And a count 1-2. Interesting that before Gomes got to second base, Perez was just given the normal number signs with his fingers, but with Gomes, he's going to that helmet,
touch,
chest protector. He's going to a couple little things, maybe because he's a catcher.
Yes.
He might be able to figure it out a little easier. Chisenhall strikes out. Once again, Shields strikes out the side for the 2nd inning in a row. But the Indians get a run closer on the 2-out RBI double by Yan Gomes.
Handshakes going around. There it is. His night will be over. There's the manager saying good job. 6 innings. 2 runs on 6 hits. 9 punch outs. His last 6 outs coming via the K. He's always a tough customer. Pitch another good game on the road.
Omar Infante will be the batter for Kansas City here in the 7th inning. He is 0 for 3 on the night. Wow, that hit his bat.
You sure?
It came up and in on looked like a breaking ball that maybe just cut under. And his Infante ducked to get out of the way. It hit his
Unbelievable.
bat.
See, he has that extra piece on the helmet because he was hit in the jaw earlier. It sure did.
Because he didn't drop it.
He dropped the top hand off the bat and it came back into play. Watch. Hey, when you've been hit in the face already this year, that's a scary situation right there if you're the hitter. That's the one fear you have to get over, of not getting hit there again. And that, believe me, anything coming up that way, you got to bail, man. You got to hit the deck. And then you go with a fastball away like that. That's not fair. Look at that.
Takes it the other way for a base hit.
That's professional hitting right there. That's a really good job by Omar Infante. Gets knocked down, takes a fastball away, and then delivers a base hit, staying on the baseball. That's tip my cap to him right there. Good job of hitting.
That wind has shifted, and it is really coming out of the northeast. It is chilling things off here at the ballpark. Game time temperature was 50. They're telling us the high tomorrow is going to be somewhere in the 40s. So quite a departure from yesterday when we were right around 70 degrees at game time. Eric Hosmer, single, a double, and 2 runs scored on the night. Runner goes. Pitch hit down the left field line, slicing, but it is going to be a fair ball. Brantley barehands it. But his throw is going towards third base. Scoring on the play is Infante. Hosmer with his second double of the night. His third hit of the ball game, and the Royals get that run right back. Another response run.
Well, yes, another response run, but this just shows you the power of this guy. I said he uses the whole field. Likes to extend the arms. And a lot of times you'll see that ball slice and slice foul, but it stayed fair. Goes up off the wall, and Michael realized he wasn't going to have a chance at him to just get it in. Hosmer his second double tonight. The Royals with their 10th hit.
Butler takes a strike, and he has 2 hits in the ball game. Billy Butler, who had his struggles early in the year. Manager Ned Yost moved him out of the cleanup spot, dropped him down to 6th, but back into the 4-hole for this series in Cleveland. Butler, you know he was in a serious funk when during one interview he told a reporter there's something just mechanically off. And then a minute later said it's not mechanical, it's mental.
That's what he meant, mechanically mental.
Lines one fouled on the right side. Scott Atchison getting loose for the Indians. Mentioned before that the Royals hold an option for Butler for next year. It's $12.5 million. So it's a pretty sizable investment, but not exorbitant for a guy who can drive in a lot of runs like Butler can. Weekly hit towards second. Jason Kipnis will flip it over, and that's the first out of the inning. And over to third goes Hosmer.
Well, Oral Hershiser bobblehead night is set for Saturday, May 3rd. White Sox are in town. The first 10,000 fans will receive the bobblehead, courtesy of Meritech.
So the Indians will bring the infield in with one out and Alex Gordon, the batter. Gordon taking a strike. 2 hits last night. He's 0 for 2 so far this evening with a walk. Back out of play. Lee deals, and that's a little bit low, 2-2. Indians came in having won back-to-back games, but so far here tonight it's been all Kansas City. 2 down in the inning. Time once again for another Mazda game break. Back to the studios. Here's Al.
And Matt, down at the Trop tonight in St. Petersburg, it's pretty much all Tampa Bay. Matt Joyce here with a 2-run double. That makes it 7-3 back in the 4th inning. David Price cruising right now. He's good through 7 innings, and the Rays have a 7-3 lead over Minnesota. Matt?
All right, thanks, Al. Salvador Perez steps in now 0 for 3. Infield back, normal depth with 2 gone. And he takes a strike. Indians have won back-to-back games 3 times on the year. But a big reason why they're sitting here at 9-10, they just can't get any traction going.
Can't get any consistent starting pitching going.
Amen. Another run for the Royals. Stretch time here in Cleveland. Kansas City on top 6-2. 7th inning stretch brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Stay tuned for Indians Live, brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Comes your way right after the ball game. Danny Duffy, left-hander, coming on now for KC after James Shields went 6 innings. Gave up 6 hits, 2 runs, only 1 earned. Walked 1, struck out 9.
Yeah, good start for James Shields. He's looking to pick up his second win.
And Michael Bourne will start the home half of the 7th for the Tribe. The Indians' leadoff man is 2 for 3 on the night. Bourne singled to start the game, then had a 2-out RBI hit in the 2nd inning. Struck out his last time up. Kind of a weird, I shouldn't say weird, unusual. James Shields, 3rd time through the lineup tonight against the Indians. He gave up 2 hits, walked a batter, and struck everybody else out. Usually your strikeouts early, you don't get them that many bunched together late in the ball game.
Well, you get into a rhythm. When you're a good pitcher, if you don't get them early and they get into a rhythm, you're in trouble. We mentioned the last time, his last start, struck out 7 straight. So he did strike out 6 out of the last 9 guys he faced.
Mm-hmm. Bourne fouled it in and out of the glove. Michael strikes out. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. If you're a Tribe fan, you might want to turn away. Not pretty. 3rd time through the lineup, James Shields carved him up. He did give up a run.
Yeah, and a 2-out base hit by Gomes. But look at that fastball, sliders, changeups. He's mixing them up beautifully and walking off. Last 6 outs, strikeouts.
Up comes Nick Swisher. 0 for 2 on the night. Swisher has struck out. He has flied out. And he has walked on the night. Right back.
Attendance is 8848, 8,848.
Swisher hammers one left center field. It's in the gap. Cut off by Dyson. His throw is going to be offline, and Swisher's going to go in standing with a 1-out double. So his 3rd double of the series. And he's got a hit now in 7 of his last 12 games, so he is really starting to find his groove offensively.
Well, he got a fastball out over the plate that he ropes into left center field, and he just continued to go. Dyson does a nice job to cut it off, but his throw is going to pull the second baseman off the bag, Infante, so nowhere close, and Swisher gets the double.
And up comes Jason Kipnis, 0 for 3 on the night. Kipnis has flied out, grounded out, struck out. Doubled and homered last night in the ball game. Right now looking for a hit just to give the Indians some momentum, try to get back into this ball game against the Royal bullpen. Looks at one high, 1-1. Mentioned it before in the past. We have seen plenty of left-handers coming out of that KC bullpen. Tim Collins for one, but he's on the DL. Danny Duffy is all they have right now coming out of the pen as a left-hander. Outside, he missed. High pop. Left center. Dyson and Gordon converge. Dyson, the center fielder, makes the grab, and there are 2 down.
Well, families this year can save with the KeyBank Kids Value Tickets. Ticket gets your kid $15 of loaded value for use on concessions or merchandise. Log on to Indians.com/kidsvalue today.
And the other left-hander, I couldn't think of his name, Francisco Bueno. Another lefty that was in that Kansas City bullpen last year. He's currently DL'd as well. Santana tries to inside out one, but fouls at first base side.
Bueno, I don't remember him a whole lot last year. Did he pitch against us a lot?
Well, it seemed like Collins pitched every game.
He does. He pitches in every game. There's no question about that. That's what I'm used to. If a lefty's coming in, I know it's Collins.
Well, we did get to see Bueno as well. Upstairs with it. 1-1 to count. Royals have 2 left-handers in their starting rotation, and we'll see them each of the next 2 nights. Jason Vargas and then Bruce Chen. Out to the mound goes the catcher, Perez. Interesting spot for a long conversation. You got a guy down the count 1-2.
Right.
But Perez obviously understands, look, you don't want to make a mistake. Let him juice one, and the Indians are right back in this game. That's all it would take. One big swing of the bat. In off the plate, 2-2. Well, Duffy can rush it up there, can he?
Yes, he can get it up there, no question. You know, usually when you're a starter and you get put out there and you're only going to go a couple innings, you just rear back and let it fly, and you can see another 4 to 5 miles an hour on your fastball. You don't have to worry about pacing yourself, I guess.
The 2-2 out of play. Carlos Santana. Two hits in his last 41 at-bats. Rolls this one to third. And the inning is over. No runs ahead, a man left. We head to the 8th. 6-2 Kansas City.
reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians.
Well, it's been a frosty night here at the ballpark, and the Royals have a 4-run advantage as we roll on to the 8th inning. The batter will be Mike Moustakas, who is 1 out of 3 on the night. Hit a 2-out, 3-run homer that was really a crushing blow to Danny Salazar in this game tonight. This game really, for me, boils down to that sequence in that 4th inning. You had the back-to-back hits to open the inning. Okay. Then he got a tough out. Alex Gordon fouled out. Then he strikes out Perez, who he's got 2 down. He had just thrown a wicked slider to Moustakas, who swung over the top of it. But then the next pitch, whether it was a hanging slider or a changeup, was hard to tell, but it got destroyed. And just like that, it's a 3-run blast, and Kansas City goes out in front. They've never trailed.
Yeah, I don't think after throwing that good slider, the pitch before, that couldn't have been a slider. That had to be a change.
1 down here in the 8th. In-game box score brought to you by your local Hyundai dealers. Eric Hosmer has scored a couple of runs. He has an RBI. Butler with a ribby. But the big crooked number off the bat of Moustakas. Alcides Escobar has reached all 3 times tonight. A couple of singles, a walk. He has scored a run. Also has a stolen base. Down low, Escobar lays off. Justin Masterson for the Tribe tomorrow. Corey Kluber in the series finale. As I mentioned before, the Indians will face left-handers from the Kansas City rotation, Jason Vargas and then Bruce Chin. Got him looking. Nice slider from C.C. Lee, and there are 2 down here in the 8th inning. Lee gets his first strikeout. Up comes Gerard Dyson. Two balls, no strikes. Yankees throttling the Red Sox at Fenway 9-2. Redwood, New York, looks like they're going to lose Ivan Nova with a elbow surgery.
That looks like that. Yeah, he came out. Didn't he have it before? Or did he have the shoulder surgery?
I don't remember. Dyson draws a walk, 2 outs. Keeps the inning alive. And Terry Francona going to make another move. Timeout here at Progressive Field with 2 down in the 8th inning. And the Royals on top 6-2. It looks like Scott Atchison will be coming on next for Cleveland. We're in the 8th. Royals have a runner at first with 2 down. New pitcher is Scott Atchison. He's the handyman. Can do it all.
Well, the handyman's coming on for the 8th time.
He's been very good so far out of this bullpen for Cleveland. He's got the top of the order with 2 down. Nori Aoki, who's 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. Had him leaning, but the throw is a little bit high.
He sure did.
If that throw's on the bag, maybe they get him.
Well, he's so quick. But he did flinch like he was going.
Dyson holds, and Aoki smokes it right back up the middle. So 2 on, now 2 out.
Well, he's going to see it come right back at him. Right around that right leg, and he just got it out of the way. It hits the downside of the mound and ricochets into center field. That's hit number 11 for the Royals. The first for Aoki. Gets his 4th hit on the road this year. But he's been on base 3 times. He's walked a couple of times. Struck out a couple.
Last night it was the Indians with 8 of their 9 starters collecting a hit in the ballgame. Tonight Kansas City getting hits from 7 of their 9 starters. Out of play to the right. OMAR INFANTE, nice piece of hitting his last time up. You complimented on it. He had a breaking ball up under his chin. Fastball at the knees, painted away, and then that fastball away, he went right with it and smoked it into right field.
He can be a tough out. Of course, we saw him with the Tigers last year and in that lineup and hitting number 2 in this lineup. If Aoki gets on and this guy has an opportunity, they were thinking it should be fun for those other guys to hit with guys on base.
They go to second for the inning-ending force. And we'll go to the last half of the 8th with Kansas City up 6-2. Home half of the 8th inning here at Progressive Field. And the Indians down 4. Danny Duffy, who worked a scoreless 7th inning, will stay on to pitch the 8th. The Red Hats are here.
The Red Hats are the Bagheads.
Michael Brantley 1 out of 3 on the night. Singleton scored back in the 6th. And a strike over the outside edge. You know, we talked about it last night. The Indians and the Royals, last year it was a very evenly matched season series. Tribe went 10-9 against Kansas City, but over their last 40 matchups head-to-head, coming into last night, they were 20-20. And you expect more of the same this year?
Yes, you do. Evenly matched and good ball games for the most part.
In fact, you might see a lot of that throughout the division this year.
In the Central? Yeah, I wouldn't surprise.
Might.
You mentioned it's a game and a half that separates them. Every team in the first 19, 20 games.
So much familiarity.
Well, someone will take off, though. Somebody's going to get hot.
Brantley fouls it back out of play.
Maybe when the weather warms up, someone will get warm.
Yeah, you know that's going to happen. There's going to be some streaks and things of that nature, but you just get the feeling that with playing each other so many times, and especially the Indians and the Royals, a lot of these guys, the faces haven't changed on either one of these two teams. Detroit, there's some new faces. Chicago, there's some new faces. Certainly the same as said in Minnesota. Right back up the middle. Will it get through? Escobar saves it, but he can't make the play. And Brantley is aboard to start the bottom of the 8th with his second hit of the night.
Boy, that thing had eyes on it, didn't it? Even though Escobar gets over there to at least catch it and try and make a throw. It's a great breaking ball. Brantley hit a good pitch. And look, he had to spike it. I mean, that guy's got some outstanding range going to his left. Couldn't get anything on the throw. Almost hit INFANTE in the back.
Yeah.
He better lay flat, boy. Get out of the way. That'll be a hit for Brantley.
And it brings up his Drupal Cabrera.
He's got good range. He's got a good arm. He's a shortstop that not a lot of people know about because he plays in Kansas City. But the kid can certainly play some very good defense.
Now Cabrera trying to keep the Indians' mojo rolling here. They haven't been able to bunch any hits together tonight. That's something they'd love to see here to just give themselves an opportunity.
Yeah, 2 doubles tonight out of their 8 hits. Swisher has one. Gomes has one with an RBI. Now, to me, I don't know why they're throwing to first base with a 4-run lead right there. This is not really a running situation. And I think Perez is going to walk out and talk to him about that. I mean, I think sometimes pitchers get in their head that they're going to throw to first no matter what before they even go into their stretch. And I just don't see Michael running in this situation.
Now Perez has got a pretty good throwing arm back there. He would have to know he could steal it to take that chance now, and there's no reason to, as you
you're
pointed
down
out.
4 runs.
Yeah.
It's the 8th inning. There's no way you can make an out on the base with nobody out here in the 8th. You got to play conservative here. You can't be aggressive.
Upstairs, 3-0. Ned Yost knows this all too well. You can't give a team free base runners when you've got the lead. You're asking for trouble when you do that. Meanwhile, as Drupal Cabrera probably sit back and take at least a strike here. And he does. It's 3-1. Left-handed hitting David Murphy waiting on deck.
Smiles here, sees the braces. He needs to take them off.
And Cabrera swings and fouls it back out of play. That's a full count now. So Duffy was on the verge of walking Cabrera. And back-to-back strikes has him back in the count. He's made 30 pitches since coming into the ball game. 19 of those have been for strikes. And the payoff pitch struck him out. Cabrera might have helped him out. Second strikeout for Duffy. And one down here in the 8th inning. Let's check in once again with Katie Witham, who's got more on the American League Central Division this year.
Well, Matt, with us being in the middle of this series with the Royals, the Indians have now seen all of their divisional opponents. Terry Francona said today the Indians are kind of fortunate getting off to this slow start, that the standings are as bunched up as you see them right now. He says it looks like from his perspective that everyone's gotten better, which he's not pleased about, but he said it does make for good baseball for the fans.
Yeah, and you have to play well in your division. The Indians coming into today 4-6 in the Central Division.
Murphy takes a strike. He's 1 for 3 on the night.
Chicago has actually played the best. They're 7-4 in the Central Division, and Minnesota's 7-5. There's the records right there within the division. That's still early, long way to go. But you certainly want to play well in your own division if you expect to do anything.
Big chopper to first. 2 down. Brantley moves to second on the out. And we'll bring up Yan Gomes. It looks like Ned Yost's going to stay with the left-hander Duffy to face the right-handed hitting Gomes with 2 gone here in the 8th. You know, you're looking at 93 plus, more than that probably to win a division. This year, who knows if those numbers continue to play out. It could be a year where maybe 90 wins is all it takes to win the division. I say all it takes, but you end up, if everybody keeps clobbering each other and the standings stay tight, not as tight as they are now, but you end up with a 3 or 4 team race, it could certainly make for a very interesting summer. Broke his bat.
That's 3 tonight.
Duffy knocks it down, throws him out. Another leadoff hit goes for not for the Tribe, and it's 6-2 Royals. field. You know, we were looking up some past Central Division standings during the break there, Rick, and in the last decade, there have been a number of occasions where the Central Division champion didn't even get to 90 wins.
Right.
So, you know, if you have 3 teams that are in it beating on each other, or maybe 4 teams, who knows how the season will play out, you could probably end up with a Central Division champ this year below 90 wins. I could see that happening.
It could always happen. You know, you never know what's going to happen throughout the course of the year, who's going to stay healthy, what's going to happen. A lot comes into play. What was it, Detroit a couple of years ago won 88 games. I remember the Indians, what was it, in 96 or 7? 190 or 86?
86 wins, yeah, back in 97. Just a few years ago, the Twins, I think, captured the flag was 87 victories. So, yeah, up the middle, diving attempt by Kipnis, kicks off his glove, and Hosmer has his 4th hit of the night.
What a night he's having.
0 for 4 last night, 4 for 5 this evening. That ball was smoked.
Yeah.
That's the double line drive off the top of the fence in center.
We showed you the speed coming off his bat was over 105 miles an hour.
And he lashed this one into the corner.
That double didn't slice foul. It stayed right there. He smoked that one, too. Couple of doubles, couple of singles, 4 knocks. Good night for Hosmer.
Billy Butler has 2 hits on the night. RBI and a run scored. Out of play. 2-2. Game like this, the way it's played out, it does make you wonder. That one pitch that Salazar made to Moustakas that resulted in a 3-run homer. If he retires Moustakas and gets out of that inning, we could be looking at a 2-2 ball game right now.
I know. I mean, you hate to look at it that way, but there's turning points in every game that something happens that turns the tide and gives you momentum.
Well, you just look back. He made such a good pitch on the slider. Had Moustakas fooled badly. And the very next pitch, kaboom, 3-run homer. And the game changed instantly.
Well, and sometimes it only takes one pitch in a game, and it can cost you a ball game, one bad pitch.
Back in the 4th, this is it. Watch the slider.
Good slider that went down.
Next pitch.
Change up that stayed up. That's the difference.
(3-2). And it's ball 4. So the first 2 have reached for Kansas City here in the top of the 9th. Looking back at our keys to the game, courtesy of Akron Children's Hospital. Looking for a clean game on defense. One error. It was a throwing error by Yan Gomes on a stolen base attempt. So defensively, they've played okay. Taking advantage of the scoring opportunities. They did not, and they didn't get a lot against James Shields. Justin Maxwell running at first for Billy Butler. Alex Gordon is 0 for 3 with a walk tonight. Smoke to right center. That's in the gap. And the Royals will get back on the board. Hosmer scores. Maxwell right on his heels. He'll score 2. Alex Gordon with yet another double. Second of the series. This one drives in a pair and effectively puts this one on ice for the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, plugs a gap in right center field. This one, it seems like, has been on ice for a while. As I'm talking about, it's been cold here. By the time Murphy can get it, Hatch will give up his first couple of runs of the year. Gordon, his 8th double. Couple of RBIs. It is an 8-2 ball game.
Mickey Callaway out for a chat. Brian Shaw has to get up now in the Indians bullpen. Nobody out in the inning. And Salvador Perez will be the batter for Kansas City. He's 0 for 3 on the night. 0 for 4 on the night. Perez looks at a strike. Atchison drops in a nice curveball in there. It's 0-2. Breaking ball hit to third. Santana sets and throws. Got him. And Salvador Perez is 0 for his last 22. It's going to bring up Mike Moustakas.
And here comes Terry Francona. He's going to make the move.
All right, so we've got a timeout with one out here in the 9th inning, and the Royals leading it 8-2. Tire Express and Total Car Care comes up after the ball game right here on Sports Time Ohio. Royals on top 8-2. And the Tribe goes to Brian Shaw to face Mike Moustakas. Tenth appearance of the year for Shaw, 2.16 ERA. Kansas City has Alex Gordon at second base with one away. Moustakas, the 3-run homer we just showed you a little while ago. That was early in the ball game, and that turned the tide in this one. When Dayton Moore took over as general manager for Kansas City, this was his first draft pick. He was the second overall selection, Mike Moustakas, in the 07 draft. That ball's hit the center field, and Michael Bourne with a nice job to run it down. 2 away. And that will bring up Alcides Escobar. Escobar with a pair of hits in the ballgame. Struck out his last time up. Up and away for ball one. Right back to the screen. This one's coming right back at you. Get your glove.
No, they're not. They're already in bed.
Heads up. Way outside. And a count 2-1. It's a final in Detroit. The Tigers held on to beat the White Sox 8-6. They had a big, comfortable lead, but Chicago tried to make a game of it late. Out of play. Gives the Tigers their 10th win of the year. And drops the White Sox a game below 500 at 10-11.
That's the only seat within about 200 of them.
Yankees beat Boston 9-3 at Fenway. Tampa Bay beat Minnesota 7-3 down at the Trop. Twins are 9-10 on the year. Popped him up. Swisher in foul ground. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. It's the Royals 8 and the Indians 2. 8-2 in favor of the Royals. Bottom of the ninth. And on for KC is Aaron Crow. He worked a 1-2-3 eighth inning in a 5-0 win for Kansas City over the Twins Friday. Lonnie Chisenhall leading off, takes a strike. In 21 outings against the Indians, Crow has an ERA against the Tribe of 1.33. And the Tribe hitters are batting $1.78 against him. He's 3-0 with 22 strikeouts in his 20 1/3 innings of work against the Tribe. Meanwhile, Lonnie Chisenhall is 0 for 2 on the night. He was hit by a pitch back in the second inning. Two and two. Michael Bourne is next, then Nick Swisher. Broke his bat. And that is out number one here in the bottom of the ninth. Michael Bourne started off the night with a couple of base hits. He has struck out in each of his last two trips since. On the ground to second base, 2 down. That'll bring up Nick Swisher, who has one hit. Tonight he has walked also. $8,848. The attendance here tonight. It was 50 degrees at game time. It's about 40 degrees now and feels like it's in the 30s. In the air, left field, over near the line. Gordon on the move, can't get to it. Crow ready, the 2-1 pitch, and it's out of play. Tomorrow night, it's Justin Masterson for the Indians against left-hander Jason Vargas for Kansas City. As the Royals are 1 out away from evening the series at a game apiece. There is Masterson, who will be on the bump for Cleveland tomorrow
It's
night.
supposed to be a little cooler tomorrow, too, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be real warm. Probably about what the temperature is right now is about where we'll be tomorrow night. Swisher with a line drive, base hit into right field.
Well, he's keep going for another hitter. He got a fastball up out over the plate. So keeps it going.
Jason Kipnis is 0 for 4 on the night. And Kipnis fouls it back. Swisher takes off down to second base as Kipnis takes a strike. Two down here in the bottom of the ninth. 0-2 count on Kipnis. Down in the dirt. Crow fires and Kipnis hits one high in the air left field. Gordon is there and he'll make the catch. The Royals have won the ball game and they've evened the series at a game apiece as they prevail tonight by a final score of 8-2. With the win, Kansas City goes over 500 at 10-9. The Indians fall back to 9-11. James Shields gets the win. He goes to 2-2 on the season. The loser, Danny Salazar, who is now 0-3 on the year. Time for the KeyBank key play of the game.
Well, we go back to that fourth inning, and it was something. He throws him a slider right here that had great movement going down. The very next pitch with a chance to get out of the inning, left him a hanging changeup. That ball got out of here in a hurry. You can see Salazar a little upset. He's given up a home run in every one of his starts. The key play of the game brought to you by KeyBank.
So Kansas City comes back tonight. They even up the series at 1-1. And game 3 of this 4-game tilt comes your way tomorrow night. We'll have the play-by-play for you beginning at 7. But stay tuned now for Indians Live. It's coming up next.